Hi, it's Michael Senoff with Michael Senoff's HardToFindSeminars.com. The title of this interview is called How I Turned $18.56 into Millions in Less Than 10 Years. It's an interview with business and marketing genius Allie Brown. Allie Brown has built an amazing empire by helping everyday people create careers through marketing and business. But 10 years ago, she was just another person who hated her dead-end job and finally said, I can't take it anymore, and she quit. Although the first years of owning her own business were lean, she didn't give up. And in this 30-minute interview, you'll hear how she went from having less than $20 in her bank account to being a millionaire. And Allie says she was just as insecure as anyone else when she first started out. In fact, after she wrote her first book, she worried about promoting it to her email list because she was afraid people would be mad at her for bothering them with it. But she pushed past her insecurities, and in this audio, you'll hear how she did it. You'll also learn the vital importance of knowing who your target audience is before you do anything else in business and why you need to do that. You'll learn 6 simple ways to get traffic to your website. You'll learn why Allie says the biggest advantage you have is being you, and your personality will get you through. You'll also hear tips for adding personal information that will humanize your products. You'll learn ethical and easy but almost unknown ways to build an email list. You'll get an exclusive look into the power of e-signs and e-newsletters as a business strategy. You'll learn Twitter tips to stay connected with your audience. You'll learn why you should never give up after the first promotion and ways to capitalize on repetition. You'll learn key strategies for pricing products that may help you get top dollar. According to Allie, you should be very selective about the messages you allow into your life. There are a lot of people thriving in today's economy, but if you only listen to the doom and gloom found on the news, you won't hear about them. Fortunately, Allie says there's an underground surge of positivity, but you may have to seek it out in order to be successful. And in this audio interview, you'll hear where to find the positive messages and resources you need in order to thrive. Now let's get going.
Hi, this is Raven Blair Davis, and I've teamed up with Michael Senoff's HardToFindSeminars.com.
I want to know this, woman to woman. You just got out there and just pushed that old boys club to the side. How did this happen?
I want to tell all of you listening, too, that, if I were to look at myself from the Allie I was 10 years ago, I would go, there's no way I will ever be a multimillionaire. There's no way. I don't know how I could do that. I don't know the how this, how that. But all I knew is I was so frustrated working for someone else. And I think that drives a lot of us to taking a risk more than wanting something, is sometimes being so frustrated with your situation, you just say, that's it. I can't take this anymore. I was working at this little ad agency for these, I call them the knuckleheads, these guys. Didn't know what they were doing, and here I was way back then. I was like only 25, 26, and, just so frustrated working with these guys who didn't seem to care about their clients, and I got frustrated and I just quit. And I was in for a rude awakening because I didn't realize, Raven, that the most important part of owning a business is actually the marketing. So I started a business doing copywriting because that's what I had learned doing at this little ad agency. I was writing some of the ads for the clients and helping them out, and did an okay job. And then I saw what you could make freelancing, so I thought, well, I'll give this a try. Well, I had no idea how to get clients. I had no idea how to network. I was not good on the phone like you are. You're known as the phone diva, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I wasn't that good back then, and I'm good now. It's taken a long time, but I was really much more shy, and when I would meet people, I'd be terrified to follow up. So I was going around to all these networking meetings and just getting through these breakfasts and lunches and dinners and had this stack of business cards and kept thinking, I don't know if I can do this. I don't think I'm smart enough to have my own business. I'm going to get online and write my mom and see if I can move home. And this is in New York, and it was just a scary time. There's a story I tell when I'm speaking on stage when I remember I couldn't take $20 out of the ATM. My balance was $18.56, and I will never forget that number. And, I'm not one of those speakers who has a story like I was living in my van or anything, but I had a little tiny apartment that I just scraped by, and, I did what I needed to do, but it was not happy, and it wasn't pretty, and I couldn't buy anything for myself, but I didn't want to go back to have a job. And I was fiddling around with email a little bit, and I saw some of these email newsletters. We also call them e-zines, which is short for electronic magazines. But I got good at doing this little email newsletter, and all this was, Raven, was if you can type an email and press send, this is all it was. I wrote a little tip for the people that I had met that talked about, how to market yourself with good communications, which was what I did. I wrote brochures and web pages and things like that. So I wrote a tip to show them that I knew what I was doing, and I put a little promotion for my business. Now, I started with a list of 10 people. That included my parents, and it included my cat. I mean, this was pathetic. And from there, people started forwarding that little email around, and then people were writing me asking to sign up for it, people I'd never heard of, people all over the world. And within about 6 months, I started getting, finally steady work and steady clients, because what would happen is I'd hear from somebody at, for example, Dun Bradstreet. They'd say, you know what, a friend of a colleague forwarded me your little newsletter, and we need someone to write a brochure. We'd like you to come in and make a proposal. And wild stuff started to happen. And then I thought, well, I want to learn more about this email thing. So I looked around the bookstores, I looked online, and I was just frustrated with what I found, and I started to write a few articles on the topic. And then I wanted to write a book, because I've always wanted to write a book, but I didn't know how to get a book published. And I learned about these things called ebooks, which is really just a PDF file, and many of you have probably bought one. It's just a digital file that you buy online and you download. And I thought, well, this is great, because I don't have the money to get anything published anyway. So I wrote a little ebook, and at that time it was called Boost Business with Your Own E-Zine, and I put it online. And I remember I had, by that time, this little email list of about 1,000 people. And I sent out an email to the list telling them about this ebook, and I was scared to death. I'm thinking, they're not going to want to buy this thing. They're going to get mad that I'm selling to them. And I remember I pressed send, and my heart was pounding, and I just shut my computer and left, and I ran out. I'm like, I don't want to know what they're going to write back. They're going to hate me, and I'm selling. And I come back from the gym, and very slowly I'm booting my computer up, and my email comes in, and I see order, money, and I said, this is cool, because I did the work, and I'm done doing the work, and now I'm getting paid. It's the passive income, and I was hooked, because I was so used to working hours for dollars. And that comes from way back in the Industrial Revolution, and then we were in the service age, and now we are truly in the information age. We throw that term around, but it's still so applicable. Now we get paid for results, and the information that gives people results, they will pay well for. And from there, I studied everything I could about online marketing. I started scraping up my change and going to seminars. I remember the first time I had to buy a plane ticket to go to a seminar. I was just terrified. But since then, I'm just so in love still with the Internet and the possibilities it gives you to work at home or to work from anywhere. This past year, my dad passed away, and I have to tell you that when he was so ill, it meant so much to him that I could grab my laptop and be there with him within a few hours and fly to Texas and be by his side. It was so sweet. It just broke my heart. I remember him grabbing my hand and just trying to get the words out. He said, but what about your business? And I said, Dad, my business is with me. It's okay. He still didn't quite understand that I could make money and still be there with him, because that generation, they didn't have that opportunity. And it's just an amazing place to be. And today, my business is worth several $1 million. We have a coaching company. We're launching a magazine for women in business. There's so much going on. My passion, though, is still helping those women get started from home. And I see this in a lot of seminars now, too. People are getting a little tired of the men who are yelling at the audience, and how many of you want to blah, blah, blah. And, people want to be talked with and have conversations with. And this is why anyone, and I do believe anyone, can start a business from home on the Internet, because all you're doing is talking to people, whether it's in type or on the phone or a recording that you do, and it's just about communication, and you don't have to act like this big company. And in fact, one of the biggest advantages that solo entrepreneurs have is being people, and people buy from people. Big companies hire spokespeople to give their company a face and a personality. Well, you already have that. So people listen to Raven because she's Raven. People come to Allie because she's Allie. I mean, there are a bazillion other people teaching Internet marketing. But I have people coming to me who say, Allie, but I want to learn from you, because I've come to like who you are and what you represent. And so, Jane Doe sitting in the kitchen right now, even with the kids all around her feet and the Cheerios and all that, people would like to know that that's her life, and she can talk about that and talk about a product or a service that she uses that's helped her in some way. It's just so wonderful for anyone.
Hi, this is Raven Blair Davis interviewing for Michael Senoff's HardToFindSeminars.com.
So let's talk about the e-zine.
This is so funny. Everyone, especially in the Internet world, you're going to hear people coming out with the next big thing, and everyone freaks out, right? Like, I need this, I need that, I need the podcast, I need a blog, I need this, and you can't do everything. What I love about e-zines is, and this is funny too when you're like this, Raven, when I first came out and was doing the e-zine queen stuff and telling people to start an e-zine, the Internet marketing guys were kind of looking at me like, oh, isn't she cute? I got a little pat in the head, like, oh, her little cute newsletter. Well, now I'm making more money than most of them, and it's because it's about the relationship. And this is something that women are naturally good at, ladies. This is something that you're crazy if you don't do this. So all I did, again, going back to that first newsletter, it was just like writing a friend an email, like with a friendly tip and then a little bit about my offer. And whatever your offer is whether you're selling a product, you could be a network marketing company, maybe you have an ebook or an info product that you're selling. If you don't have a product, join up with someone else and be part of their affiliate program. But here's the thing, you need to start with an audience. So the biggest lesson, and this is an advanced tip to give, but I think your audience would like this, the who is more important than the what. If you develop a readership of a certain type of person, your income will be accelerating for years to come because you have a market who you can bring additional products and services to. The problem that most people have when they start online is they have a product or service, and then they go out and try to find people. The thing I love about a newsletter is if you have a theme for your newsletter and you attract readers who are interested in that theme, you can bring in additional products and services. Let's use a really simple example. Let's say that you want to publish a newsletter for cat lovers. And I don't have a kitty right now. I miss having a kitty. But I have my Francine for 20 years. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, okay.
She made it to 20. Then I needed a break. Let's say you're a cat lover and you want to start a newsletter for cat lovers, and you start collecting this database of cat lovers. And maybe you're placing ads online. Maybe you're getting some articles published. There's all kinds of strategies we teach. But you have this audience of cat lovers. Well, now you can market to them books on cat care, books on cat behavior. You can maybe get an affiliate link with even PetSmart or companies like that have affiliate programs. Amazon.com has affiliate programs, and they have pet products. There's all kinds of opportunities if you see where that's going. You can do it on that end. One of the women in my top-end coaching programs, my diamond tier, is a lawyer who markets to lawyers and helps coach lawyers on how to make their business more profitable, okay? That's like a high-end thing, but it's the same concept. She has a list of lawyers and brings them products and services and opportunities that they'd be interested in. So how to get started, the biggest tip is just to pick an audience first that you have a natural affinity with, or that they're easy to find. That is important to pick a target market that's pretty easy to find. And, people who are passionate about a hobby or in a certain profession or maybe are in a certain locality is a great place to start.
Okay, so don't go out there creating products before you do research on where your target market is, who they are, and understand them and what they're needing, right?
Yeah. Let's say you do have a product. Let's say you're with a network marketing company, and I'm in a few companies as well just because I love great nutrition products and things like that. And let's say you have this wonderful vitamin. Well, marketing is always easier if you go after a certain type of person, right? So it's really great if you can pick that niche and focus in the niche. It's like going fishing but not knowing who you're going to go fishing for. You're going to catch anything. But if you know what type of fish to go after, you know what type of bait to use, you know where they are, maybe you can market just to moms who are in your area. Or maybe you can say, I'm going to market to doctors with a certain product. You need to get very clear on your target market. And this is a great tip for any business, not just internet marketing and not just work at home either.
You want to mix a little personal stuff with the business stuff in your enzyme, right?
You do. And can I tell the cat story?
Yeah, tell the cat story.
This is hysterical. Okay, I have 3 keys to making what I call boodles of money online. And the first is, we touched on it briefly, is your story. And again, I don't need a story like you don't have to share that you were living in a van by the river. You just need to share a little bit about your life. And as simple as this, okay, I used to publish my newsletter. It was very formal because I was having clients like, New York Times Digital. I'm like, I can't talk about my life. And I actually moved to California and didn't even mention it in my newsletter. I was like, well, they don't really need to know that. And then when I moved out here, I had Francine, my older cat, and I really had not mentioned her before. And I mistakenly thought that Francine maybe needed a friend.
Hi, it's Michael Senoff with HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching this video. Many of my interviews last 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, sometimes even up to 2.5 hours long. They're actual mini seminars, and you've just listened to a short sample of just one of over 117 hours of exciting, hard-hitting, mind-blowing interviews on how to make money in direct mail, advertising, copywriting. I assure you, there is not a resource anywhere on the internet or on the planet that comes close to the free information I provide at HardToFindSeminars.com. So go right now to HardToFindSeminars.com and you'll have free access to 117 hours of audio interviews with typed word-for-word downloadable transcripts and downloadable MP3 files. Please browse some more of the videos or go right directly to HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching.